The planet Cronus. Beset on all sides by the tides of war, this once quiet colony became a savage battlefield. 7 armies clashed on this one world, each refusing to back down. Each convinced it was in the right. From beneath the sands of Cronus' central desert came the Necrons, ancient machines bent on eradicating all life. But another evil already had its eyes on the planet. From the depths of the warp, the demonic forces of chaos arrived to enforce their claim. To oppose these fearsome powers, the planet's rulers in the Tau Empire sent their elite soldiers and sophisticated battlesuits into the fray. From the mighty Imperium of Man came the Imperial Guard, there to secure Cronus for the glory of the God Emperor. Like a green tide, the Orc horde descended on Cronus, caring little for others' claims and sowing destruction in its wake. The Eldar, ancient enemies of the Necrons, emerged from their webway to pursue their own agenda on Cronus. And last came the Space Marines, finest and most uncompromising of the Imperium's soldiers. Seeing a world beset by aliens and heretics, they undertook a great purge. A Dark Crusade had begun. It could only end with the total victory of one of these factions, and the total defeat of all others. The rise of the Necrons and the arrival of other powers on Cronus was a threat the Tau Empire could not ignore. With their doctrine built firmly around the so-called greater good, the Tau could not tolerate seeing a thriving colony taken away from them. The Ethereals, leaders of the Empire, responded to the distress signals from Cronus by sending some of their best and brightest to retake the world. Aunel Shiorez was among the most lauded of a new generation of the ethereal caste. He would be responsible for restoring proper order to this wayward world. With him came the military leader, Shas Okais, a student of the teachings of Commander Puretide. Okais brought a massive force of fire-caste warriors, as well as auxiliaries from the Tau's allied races, the Kroot and the Vespid. Tau ground forces landed in the city of Tashin, or Asharis, to use its true imperial name. And from there began the crusade to retake the planet as a whole. Those opposing Warlord Gorgut's headhunters Green Tide faced the same challenge the Tau had faced on Cronus for generations. Pushing the Orcs back from the deserts and cities was one thing, but dislodging them from the jungle was another altogether. Even the legendary Tau leader, Commander Farsight, had failed to purge the Orc-infested swamps of the Green Coast. Still, a complete purge wasn't necessary to break Gorguts. The Warlord had cobbled together his great horde, or Wa, in the parlance of the alien, from a large number of fractious clans and tribes. So long as the Warlord led the Wa to victory, their clan's loyalty was assured. But with enemies assailing them in their very homes, discontent reared its head among the Orcs. Secondary chieftains wondered if they might not make better warlords than Gorguts. With these fissures in the Wa widening, the Orcs' enemies struck. They drove deep into the Green Coast, hoping to eliminate Gorguts himself and plunge the Horde into infighting and rebellion. For Warlord Gorguts, The only solution was to crush the attackers under unrelenting waves of orc warriors.
You think you can sneak about without me boys seeing ya? You think you can come for me, Ed? Orcs is never beaten in battle. Shut it, you grot! The rest of them are coming and we got to be ready. Tell the boys there's some killing to do. I made them big banners to remind the clans that they better keep their boys in line. I don't want no squigheads looking to fight me when the enemy's right here. Gorguts is the war boss. Got it, you mudsuckers? This here voicey box let him talk to ya. So open your ears. Listen up, ya grots and squids. They's coming for us like we some kind of human kits, but we ain't. We's the orcs, and this here is gonna be one great fight. So get your choppers and your shooters ready, boys, cause there's some killing to do. Head crushers, you ready? Foot stompers, you squiggles and such ready? Burner boys, you wanna fight? Rocket Rangers, you in it or what? And what about you, quick mix? You gonna let these other runts get all the good fighting done? That's right, we gonna crush them all. This here is a right and proper war! Gorguts ain't so tough! Get him! Ain't no grot lovers gonna leave me war! Chop 'em up, boys! Boss! The head crushers is rebelling! I can see that, you squig farmer! Shut your yap and get back to killing! But killing who, boss? Surprise for you. The boss? Who is getting shot up? Ain't you the master of the obvious? Use explosives. The what? The bomb, you kid. The bomb. Always have your tunnels dug and ready. You sure is smart, boss. Shut it, you git! I got me a whole war to rebuild. Now get me the gawk off of this here planet.
The legendary DOW commander Farsight had led troops on Cronus some decades before the Dark Crusade and had smashed the orc horde of the war boss Bonecracker. Okais studied Farsight's tactics and used them in his assault on the Green Coast. By eliminating Warlord Gorguts, he plunged the orc horde into a cycle of infighting that effectively took them out of the battle for Cronus. Still, Aonel Shorez was hardly pleased that Cronus' jungle remained infested with feral orcs. Even with other opponents still to fight, the Ethereal directed significant numbers of fire warriors and Kroot carnivores to hunt the remaining orcs, taking back 1 square kilometer of jungle at a time. The Kroot proved the most successful here, taking over much of the ecosystems of these areas in order to hunt down the orcs. Soon, the jungles of Cronus resembled the Kroot homeworld of Pesh more than anything. Eldar rely on stealth and trickery where others trust in direct force and valor. An ancient and debased people, the aliens only sully their hands in battle when they have no choice. When the Eldar's enemies at last tracked down their hidden base of operations in Tyria, the far-seer Taldir turned to a strategy of trickery. In this, she followed the ways of her ancient and deceitful race. Her forces were centered on a great reinforced hill in a remote, frozen area with very limited access. To cut off these access points, the Farseer lured Cat's Paws to Tyria. Orcs, dissatisfied with the war of Warlord Gorguts, followed advice whispered by Taldir's warlocks and camped right where they could screen the Eldar from attackers. The Eldar, nevertheless, built a substantial force of their own. Advanced webway gates allowed them to ferry troops from the Wraith ship hiding behind a holofield somewhere in the Cronus system. But these same gates were the Eldar's great weakness. If attackers could take and hold them, Taldir would be cut off from reinforcements and any hope of escape. Alone and outnumbered, the Eldar would be caught in their own trap.
All is prepared.
Excellent. Exarch Racanis, take your warp spiders to their positions and then return to the Aspect Shrine.
We are on our way.
You have doubts, Harlequin?
I trust in your vision, Taldir of Oathway, but to stand surrounded by primitives makes me uneasy.
I understand your distaste, but Eldar rely on speed and stealth. We are not made for entrenched positions. The orcs, however, make for excellent tools. They will keep the supply roads closed and our true enemies weak.
And if these attackers defeat the orcs?
I do not doubt they will overcome our Cat's Paws, but it will cost them. And in their weakened state, they will face the Wailing Doom itself. The Seer Council has named the young king. Exarch Racanis of the Warp Spider Shrine shall sacrifice himself to awaken our most powerful warrior, the Avatar of Cain.
None shall escape my wrath.
Return to the main base. Let our enemies fight amongst themselves.
Catch them! Get them all!
In a foul shrine in the Deimos Peninsula, lost souls summoned the Black Apostle Eliphas to Cronus. There, the Word-Bearers raised their black temples and launched their assault on the world. Eldritch energies split the earth with abyssal fissures and remade the lush jungles into a nightmare landscape, pulsing with ruinous energies. A master demagogue, Eliphas made an advantage of the fractious nature of those bent to chaos. Instead of relying on a unified defense, he allowed his champions and cult leaders to establish their own satellite temples, where they could pursue their own dark rituals. Any attacker who hoped to defeat the Word-Bearers would have to run a bloody gauntlet of heretics, including some of the Legion's most veteran Chaos Space Marines. Indeed, killing the heretics on Cronus was pointless so long as the Great Warp Portal in Eliphas's Bastion remained open. The dark spells of the sorcerers Amphion and Zathus maintained this massive rend in the fabric of creation, granting Eliphas endless reinforcements. So long as the Deimos portal remained open, there could be no victory on Cronus.
With the 37 keys of Tzeentch, we open the way for our brothers. With the 1,000 whispers of Slaanesh, we call to them. With the 12 plagues of Nurgle, we fell their enemies. And with the mighty axe of Khorne, we cut open the world for them.
Yes, come forth to bear the word of chaos. Hear my warnings, unbelievers, carried to your minds by the power of the Prince of Excess himself. We have raised altars in this land, so that we may sacrifice you to our gods. Veterans of 10 millennia of unholy war wait to grind you beneath the treads of their mighty boots. The chosen of Khorne hunger to add you to their bloody tally. The Blood God himself has marked this land and will claim your skulls for his throne. There is no hope in opposing the inevitable. Put down your arms, unbelievers, and bow before the forces of chaos undivided.
To serve.
It is a poor shepherd who blames his flock apostle. This failure is yours and yours alone.
No, I will not go to the Basilica of Torments again.
Fear not, apostle. The Basilica is reserved for those who may redeem themselves.
No. No!
You will have no such chance.
The Tau forces who came to Cronus had not fought any major battles against the agents of chaos, and could not know the madness that awaited them. Nevertheless, Okai's forces held strong, refusing to give in to the demons and heretics. The Force pushed forward and finally disrupted the black enchantment that had brought the Chaos Space Marines to Cronus. Somewhat miraculously, not a single of the Tau soldiers fell into warp heresy during the assault. In the wake of this battle, however, the soldiers of the Fire Caste struggled to understand just what they had witnessed. Onel Shiorez acted quickly to preserve his forces against the power of heresy. He ordered that all structures and ritual artifacts on the peninsula be leveled and the area sealed off under guard. Crude carnivores who had partaken of the flesh of dead Chaos Space Marines and cultists were ruthlessly hunted down, lest the taint make its way into their gene matrix. The full extent of the Necron presence on Cronus did not become clear until those opposing them launched raids into the catacombs under the Thur Abyss Plateau. The first Necron massacres on the planet had occurred there, and their enemies expected to find some sort of alien bastion. Instead, they found an entryway into the underworld. Garbled reports from doomed scouts sent into the cavernous passageways revealed a network of catacombs honeycombing the entire plateau. Some of these now stood hollowed out, while others served as staging grounds for Necron forces. Worst of all, however, were the deeper tunnels, where row upon row of Necrons still stood, slowly waking to join their lord's global genocide. The attackers settled on a dangerous gambit. A strike force would enter the catacombs and plant a massive explosive device deep in the main cavern. An explosion there would collapse the entire network, crushing or sealing off the legions of still dormant Necrons and shattering those already risen. It remained to be seen if anyone could deliver this device, much less escape in time to continue the fight across Cronus.
Etherios, protect us!
Creatures, at long last you have found the tranquility of death. I was like you once, clinging to life and blind to the truth. When I uncovered the truth, I too shuddered and paled with fear. Deep in these catacombs, I was remade. Here, my brethren slumbered for eons, while the living grew like weeds. My lord knew this day would come. He had plans for us all. We would purge this world once more. So come, poor victims of life. We will grant you tranquility in these crypts. Cronus will be a tomb world once more. You have penetrated but the very surface of our catacombs. More and more of us rise from the depths with every passing moment. My lord, the living are escaping. My lord, the living have...
Gai's drive into the Necron catacombs relied heavily on the stealth and speed of his forces to deliver a fusion bomb to the heart of the deathless enemy's power. His gambit succeeded, although he left many soldiers behind him. In the wake of the battle, Onel Shorez directed the creation of a vast research complex on the Thur Abyss Plateau. Under the protection of Fire Warriors, the scientists of the Earthcast began the slow process of studying the technology used by the Necrons. The few pieces of Necron weaponry and smashed warriors that did not fade out of existence were subjected to very close scrutiny indeed. Whether or not the Tau Empire was ever able to make use of this ancient and loathsome technology is unknown. But their weaponry continues to advance, much to the chagrin of the Imperial forces facing them in combat. Upon arriving on Cronus, General Lucas Alexander became Governor Militant and set about reclaiming the planet for the Imperium. When his enemies launched attacks on his capital, he prepared to repel them with extreme prejudice. Experts in planetary defense, the men of the Imperial Guard were heavily dug in and fortified in Victory Bay. Any attacker would face well-armed and well-supplied soldiers, backed by powerful armored columns and artillery positions. The Guard's only real weakness was its morale. Although most soldiers served honorably, the men of the regiment's 5th Company had proven less than stalwart and were placed under command of Regimental Commissar Anton Gebet in a forward base on the northern shore of the Victoria River. Without Gebet's whip, the company and its base would surely fold. Other companies took position in forward bases in more sensitive areas, ready to drive the enemy off. Still, determined attackers could overrun those positions. Governor Alexander remained confident, however. Indeed, any opponent who made it past his forward positions would find themselves staring down the barrel of the massive Hellstorm cannon of an Imperator Titan.
Fifth Company, this is the moment of truth. You will not fear. You will not falter. You will not give a single step to the enemy.
But sir... If you will not serve in combat, then you will serve on the firing line.
Enemies of the Imperium, hear me. You have come here to die. The immortal Emperor is with us, and we are invincible. His soldiers will strike you down. His war machines will crush you under their treads. His mighty guns will bring the very sky crashing down upon you. You cannot win. The Emperor has given us his greatest weapon to wield. So make yourselves ready. We are the 1st Cronus Regiment, and today is our victory day.
Go, go, go! On my command, fire the Titan cannon. Fire! Begin recharge! I want that gun firing again!
Cut them down!
Command post is gone. We can't hold them back much longer. We can't allow the Titan cannon to fall into their hands. Overload the core.
For the Emperor!
Take your targets.
Although other powers on Cronus threatened the Tau forces there with outright extermination, the Imperial Guard forces, centered in Victory Bay, threatened the legitimacy of the Tau claim to the world. Given the aliens' unshakable faith in their own cause, this was in many ways the greater threat. And Okais led his forces into Victory Bay as crusaders against heresy more than anything. This drive ultimately overcame the defenses set up by Governor Militant Alexander's forces. In the aftermath of the battle, the Tau rounded up the surviving guardsmen and established a re-education camp in an attempt to make them betray the God Emperor and embrace the Tau cause. Many resisted, most notably a Kasserkin squad which managed to escape into the countryside and launch a small guerrilla campaign. But others succumbed and surrendered all they knew to the Tau. In the years to come, the forces of the Imperium would have reason to rue this last betrayal, as Tau forces struck at weak points on several planets. The Space Marines of the Blood Ravens chapter were well entrenched in their castellum in North Vandia when they finally faced an all-out attack. Utterly unwilling to surrender or retreat any further, the Blood Ravens prepared a mighty defense against the coming assault. Among those defending the keep were Space Marines drawn from the chapter's hallowed First Company. These were the hardened veterans of many crusades, each man ready and able to face down whole squads of enemy attackers. The Blood Ravens on the ground would be further bolstered by fresh troops arriving from the battle barge Litania Fury in orbit around the planet. Only two factors made the Blood Ravens at all assailable in their stronghold. Most critically, the fortress was unable to receive reinforcements directly from orbit. Captain Thule thus had to establish a forward base to receive drop pods and landing craft. Although well defended, this base could be taken. Secondly, the Space Marines had established their base near ancient ruins, which the Ravens claimed held relics of great importance to the chapter. Unwilling to desecrate the space by fortifying it, Thule opened the door to an enemy claiming the area and thus dealing a powerful blow to the normally unbreakable Space Marine morale. The Battle of North Vandia would be one of the bloodiest of the entire war.
The enemy is at our doorstep. and thinks he can push us off this world. He is already gloating. He can taste his victory. But what he fails to see is that we will make this his last meal. The Chief Librarian has ordered the purge of this world to protect our chapter's secrets. Are we to retreat with our duty unfulfilled? Are we to let a black mark stain the banner of the Blood Ravens? I say that we will not. I say our enemies will regret the day they ever decided to face us in battle. Our battle barge orbits overhead and will rain the Emperor's holy fury upon our opponents. More of our brothers will come to join the fight. But as ever, our enemy outnumbers us. Each of you must be an army in your own right. Veterans of the First Company, the finest of the entire chapter, stand with us. Let their valor guide your fire into the enemy's heart. Remember that we are Blood Ravens, brothers. We have all sworn to protect fonts of hidden knowledge. Each one of us must fall before handing this word to the enemy. The Emperor is with us. The unknown Primarch is with us. They have come for our blood, but they will drown in their own.
Rain down the rain of fire.
Reinforcements have arrived. To battle, Blood Ravens!
For the Emperor! Bring down.
No! We cannot fail.
The gene seed must be preserved. Get Captain Fuel to the Thunderhawk. Understood. Join the Brother Apothecary. We will cover your escape. And you? We cannot allow the enemy to claim our relics. This area must be cleansed with orbital fire. The chapter will honor you, brother. There is no honor to be had in defeat. But someone must deliver the targeting beacon. Orbital control. Lock onto this beacon and fire. Full power.
DOW forces and Space Marines had clashed on Cronus during the Damocles Gulf Crusade. But these had been small hit-and-run engagements. The DOW assault on North Vandia was something else altogether, with Okais leading his troops in an assault on the entrenched and well-defended Blood Ravens. Warriors of the Emperor, the Space Marines left many DOW and Kroot dead, but were unable to hold back Okais' tide. When the Blood Ravens left Cronus, many of their finest soldiers lay dead in North Vandia. In the Blood Ravens, Onel Shiorez saw what he considered the worst of the Imperium of Man. The Ethereal called their faith madness, and their purge of Cronus murder on a global scale. He chose thus to preserve the remains of the Space Marine fortress in North Vandia as an example of the opposition the greater good faced in the wider galaxy. With the last enemy stronghold broken, the DOW hold on Cronus became secure once again. The task force sent from the DOW homeworld remained on the planet to secure it, and soon thereafter, further waves of settlers and colonists arrived from across the Empire. The humans left on Cronus found life increasingly difficult for them. Many had embraced the Imperial return, and now found themselves subject to re-education or other penalties. Intensive colonization by DOW and Kroot led to a rapid demographic swing, with the human population dwindling to less than 5% a decade after the Dark Crusade. Although no public announcements were ever made to this effect, it seems clear that human births on Cronus also dropped precipitously. In part, this is due to the single-gender re-education camps imposed by the DOW, but it is also possible that the alien powers undertook some form of sterilization project, all for the so-called greater good. Whatever the truth, when Cronus was admitted as a full sept of the so-called Third Sphere, its human population was but a footnote.